Hi guys, it's Rich. I am the new diesel foreman at Billywood Ford in Jena, Louisiana. We're working on 6.0s right now. I'll give you a little rundown on some 6.0 shenanigans. This is an F450 a welding rig. This one over here is a work truck for a logging company. If you look down there on the far end, there's an F-150 on the far rack. We get mainly trucks here because this is an oil town. This is a really big trade industry. Basically, on this F450, it came in crank no start, and they don't know what happened. It just quit on them on the road. My injection control pressure was meeting desired. Desired was like 1200, and it was actually getting up to about 1350. And my oil filter, I didn't like it because they use a lot of aftermarket oil filters, and they'll actually come apart and they'll plug up your IPR. It's just bad to use aftermarket stuff when it comes to these diesels. Really should be getting the stuff from Ford. If you're gonna run one of these 6.0s, just go get the Ford filter. It's made to fit this specifically. My FICM voltage, which is my fuel injection control module, was getting 11.5 to 12 volts supplied, 12.5 cranking all the time, which that's good. That's what you want. And if it drops anything below like 10.5 volts, that's when you start really having problems. Basically, the output voltage for the injectors was perfect on this. It was 47.5 to 48. You want 45 volts at all times. Even while cranking, you want 45 volts. What else did we find? This is my partner that's working with me.
On what?
This one we had good voltage on the supply, good voltage going to the injectors. We had an aftermarket filter in here, which was actually kind of coming apart a little bit,
yep.
Which you really should stick with the Ford fuel filters.
Brand.
The fuel filters and oil filters, you need to stick with that stuff. We were getting good fuel to the filter up here, but we noticed when we looked in the computer that it was a crank signal issue. And if this is not getting a crank signal, it's not going to start. You have to have a crank signal to start the thing, and then if your crank goes out while you're starting it, you might have some drivability problems, but the vehicle will keep running because it'll run off your cam signal. But when you shut the vehicle off and go to start it up again, it doesn't have that crank signal there, so it can't see top dead center, so your actual injection timing and stuff is off at that point, and the vehicle's not going to know where top dead center is on that cylinder 1, so it won't fire that way. So that's what we're going to go after with this, because we're getting good fuel, we're getting good ICP pressure, we're getting good IPR opening. When you have an IPR problem, normally it'll either stay at 15% while cranking, or it will max out at 85 right away. We're getting between like 30 and 45, which you really shouldn't have over 30%. 45 is not that big a deal, because really what it's trying to do is it's trying to give you more oil flow so you can actually start the thing. It's just not happening. Right now what I'm going to go after is, because my FICM's good, my oil pressure's good, my base oil pressure's good, I'm going to go after the crank signal right now. I'm going to replace the crank sensor. One of the freeze plugs actually popped out of the block, so we're going to go ahead and throw a new freeze plug in it. This one, the data link connector wouldn't connect, so I had to replace the 20 amp fuse down, and I found a bad wire, so we fixed the wire and got the data link connector and stuff to connect. We got another one over here. It's a logging company truck that this guy's wanting to sell. He's got about 20 of these. This one here, I don't know if you guys can see it or not. We actually put a new fuel injection control module in it, because while cranking, this thing would drop all the way down to like 9.5 volts, and we had good battery power with chargers on it. Also, the supply voltage to the injectors would drop all the way down to like 41 to 40. I mean, it's just not enough supply for the injector. So what would end up happening is you can't get enough supply voltage. So we knew the fuel injection control module was junk and had to replace it. So we replaced the fuel injection control module, and ICP was good, the IPR was good. Basically, check the EGR to make sure it wasn't plugged up on both of these. That's just something standard that I do. Pulled the fuel filter cap off, and he actually found the sand and stuff that was in the bottom of it when we pulled it out. There's a bunch of sand that's like built up down in the crevices and stuff of this, and you can't really see it because we've handled it so much, but it was also, grit was all over the top of it. And then down in the bowl itself, there's like an 1/8 inch or 1/16 of an inch layer of sand all over the bottom of it, and you can actually see water in there as well. So we pulled the cap off of the fuel filter, or the fuel pump down there. It's got a fuel filter built into it as well, and there's sand all over inside the back of the pump. There's sand all over in the cap. Sand came out in the fluid. The pump would not even turn on at all. So we put the cap and stuff back on, put the filter and everything back in. It came back up here and actually cranked it to see if we can get any kind of bubbles and a little bit of fuel that was up there, but there's no fuel coming up to this filter at all. So we know we got a bad fuel pump, because the pulse width, the powertrain control module is actually pulse width modulating the pump down there at about 1.5, 1.4. You can see it commanding it, and it's just not turning on. And you go down there and check your ground, your power and stuff, everything would have been fine, but still not commanding it on. So at this point, just by pulling the cap off and just the symptoms, just look at that only without even pinpointing anything, without going straight to your wires, without using a meter, pull your fuel filter cap off, turn your key on, see if the bowl starts to fill up, because it'll actually overflow. If it doesn't turn on, you know you got a fuel problem. Start there. If you got a scanner or something, or you can follow some of the tips. Fortunately, I have IDS where I can actually look through the Ford scanner to see this stuff. You can actually take the cover off the top of the FICM, and you'll either have a 7-pin or a 4-pin setup, and you can actually... You want to be in the video?
What's up, man? How you doing? What's Al?
There you go. Hey, if you want a vehicle, come talk to this guy. He'll say.
How y'all doing? I'm David James. You ever need to come on down, come see me. I'll take care of you. Have a good day.
There we go. We work with some pretty good people here, so you guys come on down here. So if you're ever wanting to check your power and stuff going to your fuel injection control module, you can actually pull the cover off of it, and you can actually check your supply voltage and your output voltage by doing that. But if you're just not sure, if you don't know, if you don't have that confidence and stuff like that, and you want to bring it to somebody that does, bring it on down here and we'll look at it for you. We're more than capable of doing it. We work on a bunch of these and we knock them out. It's our business. All right, guys. Take care. And any questions, leave it in the comment box below. Make sure you leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, like us, spread it, share it, do what you got to do. All right, take care.